Hi folks, it's Evil here from Thundermist Lure Company. So glad to see you and welcome to today's episode of Thundermist Fishing Tips. I'm into my first fish already. We're out here on Lake Erie. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous summer day. We're out here, it's the dog days of August. And I'm out here fishing in 57 feet of water. I just launched the boat out here at Crystal Beach. And I'm looking for walleye. And I got my first walleye, folks, of the day, and it's a good one. Oh yes, there we go. There's a great start to my day right there. Oh, that could have been. It's like a trampoline there with this rubber net. That is a nice walleye right there. Oh, and he's bleeding a bit. Okay, well, we're gonna keep this one, so that's quite all right. Needle nose right here. Okay, hey, isn't that a great start to the day right there? Beautiful. All right. That's a nice keeper size. So let's do that again. So what I'm doing, I'm running the 1 3/4 ounce Stingnose Jigging Spoon. As you know, very realistic looking, and the hook right at the head, which I absolutely love. And I went with 1 3/4 ounce because I'm fishing in 57 feet of water right now, so it gets down there relatively quickly. And I got a little bit of a chop on the water, but not a lot of chop. Having said that, if it calms down a bit, I might go to the 3/4. And for those of you who've been asking, coming out later this year is also the 1 ounce, so which I'm excited about. So the reason I went with the silver today is because bright sun, clear water, and as you know, that's a good option for running the silver sting nose. And what I'm doing is, because we have such a slight breeze, we're not moving that quickly. We're not covering a lot of ground. So I am going to use the cast and retrieve technique, cast it out there, and then jig it back. And the other thing I'm going to do to cover more ground is I'm going to fan cast this whole area, left to right and center, and cover as much ground as I possibly can. If the wind calms down, I'll put the electric motor in and move us along a bit to cover more ground. But this is the technique, and if you notice what I'm doing, I'm fishing close to the bottom, but I'm lifting it up really high. And the reason for that is the walleye are going to hit it on the way down. So if I just jig it a foot or two like this, I'm just covering a foot or two off the bottom, which is fine if the fish are right on the bottom, but sometimes they're a little bit off the bottom. So if you want to cover more of a strike zone, that's probably about, I'm going to say, a good 10 foot there. So you lift that up, that's about 10 feet. So now you're coming up much higher off the bottom, you got a longer drop down, and you're covering more of the strike zone when you do that. And then when you get it back to the boat, I like to just jig it and then jig it back up, reel it in, and that way you're covering all the ground much suspended right off the bottom. Okay, so first fish of the day, and it was a beauty. Now let's cast it out here and see if we can get into another fish. This one came off the back of the boat. Like I said, folks, I'm fan casting the area. I'm working the whole area, and that's how I'm covering ground. Now I am running braided line. I've got 20-pound braid, and I've got a 12-pound fluorocarbon leader on there. And like I said, you pretty much need that braid when you're fishing this deep water, 57 feet deep. Plus you're casting out far, that's a lot of line out there. And with the mono, you're gonna have a lot of stretch when you go to set the hook. But with the braid, you get a nice direct hook set. And you get into a nice fish like that. Oh, he just shook the hook. Thank you very, very much, Mr. Walleye, for doing that. Although now he got it in the net. Okay, this is actually more of a nicer eater size right there on Lake Erie. That's a nice eater size. Getting it right back in again. Okay, now, oops, too excited to get back out there because what I want to do, since I got that last one at the back of the boat, there might be more back there, so I'm going to cast it right back there again. Now, the other thing, I've loosened my drag a bit on that fish, so I'm going to want to tighten it now. You want to start with a tight drag. You need that little oomph for hook set. And then, of course, when you're fighting the fish, see, that's perfect. Then you can back off on it. But drag is very, very important when it comes to setting the hook and playing the fish as well. Okay, let's see if I can get myself another one back there at the back of the boat. But if not, that's no problem at all. I'm just gonna continue fan casting. And but maybe not. Okay, like I say, where there's one, there's more. Feels like a nicer fish. Now I'm gonna back off on my drag just a bit there. Okay, see if I can get him in here. Boy, that was nice. I just love setting the hook like that on these fish. Now there are bass and sheephead out here as well, and they'll all hit the sting nose. And I've caught my fair share of sheephead out here, I'll tell you that. But I'm loving the walleye bite today, folks. I am loving the walleye bite. Watch this be a sheephead now. That's okay. No, that doesn't look like a sheephead to me. That looks like a Mr. Wally, and a good one. Real good one. Yes. Look at that. That's another nice fish. Really nice fish. Hey, isn't that a beautiful walleye? Lake Erie walleyes. Looks like this one is the same year class as that other one. Nice little hook set. He gave me a nice chomp down bite. He's gonna go in. Now, walleye, there are so many people fishing for walleye, not just on Lake Erie, you know, but all over. And the reason? Very, very, very tasty fish. Probably one of the best freshwater fish there are to eat. And in fact, I've got myself, if you haven't seen it yet, we also do a lot of cooking on our show. And I've got a real nice walleye recipe I'd like to share with you. I'll put a link here for you. If you get an opportunity to try this recipe, give it a try. The walleye comes out absolutely amazing every single time. Okay, speaking of walleye, see if I can get myself into another fish. Okay, at the back of the boat seems to be the ticket. Another jig. That one hit it on the way down. I was just refreshing the live well too. Let's turn that off. This one hit a little differently. I don't know if it's a silver bass or what we got here, or another walleye. I don't know. So hard to tell. Okay, I'm gonna lighten up on my drag. So when you're setting the hook, you want that drag to be tight. But when you pull back, if it's so tight that there's no give at all, it's too tight. You want just a little bit of give. And what do we got? Do we got a bass? I'm not sure what we got here. And we got a silver bass. Okay. That's a nice Lake Erie silver bass. Look at that chunk right there. Isn't that a nice Lake Erie silver? Beautiful fish, eh? They are good eating as well, by the way. But we're gonna let this one go because we're targeting walleyes today. And let's just get him right back in the water. If we can. Get him right back in. There we go. All right. So, yeah, what I mentioned about the drag, we're going to get that out there. I'm going to readjust my drag, and you definitely want, I'll show you what I mean by a tight drag, but not over tight. Okay, I'm just about on the bottom. Okay, we're on the bottom now. So, too loose. Now, if I crank that all the way, that's too tight, no give. You want some give, because if you have zero give, that's too much pressure on your line. That is perfect. So now with the jigging, the other thing I like to mention, when you're jigging, you want your line to fall on a semi-slack line. So you want a bow in your line. So jig it up, let it fall on a semi-slack line. Not too slack. If it's too slack, you lose control. But if it's semi-slack, you can keep an eye on it and keep control of it as you're jigging, and that's what you want. If your line is tight, I'll show you what I mean by tight. So if you jig it and you take up the slack and you let it fall on a tight line, what's happening now is it's just falling more. You're inhibiting the action of the jigging spoon. So to get the maximum action, you want to jig it and let it fall on a semi-slack line. Let it get back down there, jig it back up, and keep your eye on the line. Your line will either stop suddenly, it'll jump, or you'll just feel the hit. But either way, a semi-slack line is the way to go. And speaking of the way to go, I've got quite a ways to go today. Beautiful northeast wind. Not too humid. It's very comfortable out here. Gorgeous, gorgeous summer day. And I'm going to spend the entire day out here, and why not? Folks, I want to thank you ever so much for spending time with me and joining me on today's episode of Thundermist Fishing Tips. Be sure to get out there and enjoy some of the great summer weather. And if you haven't tried jigging, give it a try. It is a lot of fun. And wherever you're tuning in from, until next time, good luck, good fishing. Oh boy, that was a nice hit. That was a good hit. Right at the boat, straight down. Oh my. Feels like this might be a sheephead. We shall see. He's got some weight to him, whatever it is. What a nice bite. Oh, I am loving this. Loving it. Looking a little silvery down there. There we go. We got ourselves another sheephead. See you later, Mr. Drum.